Our story begins in a classroom at Jiangsheng High School. Their teacher, Chen Fan, then announces that the students need to get ready for the liberal arts exam. He also warns them that the military exam is dangerous, and he doesn't recommend it for anyone with low-level abilities. That's when we meet our protagonist, Xu Jingming, who reveals that he's actually a time traveler. This new world is called Blue Star, and its level of technology is pretty similar to Earth's. But the main difference is that this place is infested with terrifying, bloodthirsty beasts. To fight back against these creatures, some humans manage to awaken special abilities. Everyone can awaken their superpowers at 16, and they come in all sorts of types. So these abilities are divided into 9 levels, but most people only awaken between F and D rank. Our boy's ability is a weak E-level electricity, about as powerful as a taser. Suddenly, a classmate asks him if he still plans on taking the martial arts exam. The bully calls him a loser and says he should just stick to liberal arts so he doesn't embarrass the school. However, a girl stands up for him and tells the bully to mind his own business. The irritated boy snaps back, saying he'll show her who's best during the unified exam. And before storming off, he adds that Xu will just end up getting himself killed in the test. The classmate tells him not to worry about the bully, since everyone has their own worth. In the Great Xia Nation, education is split into 2 paths. Those with weak powers can live as ordinary people, but those who choose the military path have to enter a zone and desperately fight against beasts. Only after passing these exams can students get into a university for the superpowered. Our protagonist thinks to himself that even if he skips the exam, he can't run from the beasts, which could invade at any moment. Then he remembers that his parents in this world were victims of a monster horde in the past. Because of that, Xu doesn't want to be powerless and unable to react to these situations ever again. Filled with determination, he reaffirms his decision and chooses to take the dangerous military exam. A little while later, classes were finally over. Back at home, our boy was hard at work training. In his training, he's combining his electricity with his weapon. He executes several moves with his spear, trying to perfect his combat technique. After so much effort, the young man pauses for a moment, completely exhausted. With his body at its limit, he finally collapses onto the floor, saying he can't practice anymore. He's been training for 2.5 years, but his proficiency is still at a beginner's level. However, the skill he had bought makes him stronger than a typical awakened user. He knows that the death rate in the military exam for students below D level only gets higher every year. Even so, to get into the university for superpowers, he's willing to fight to the death. Then, as he gets up from the floor, the boy is faced with a strange panel that starts to glow. And finally, our beloved system makes its appearance. Xu is completely shocked, with no idea what's happening at that moment. The system announces that the activation was a success and asks if he wants the starter pack. With a smile on his face, he wonders curiously what could be inside this gift. The screen reveals that the package includes an S-level superpower and 200 power points. Powers like that are so rare that it takes an entire country 3 to 4 years for just one person to awaken one. Even though he's just E-rank trash, he realizes he now has a chance to change his destiny. Without hesitating for a second, the young man reaches out his hand and accepts the reward. Right after, he gets a confirmation and the S-rank superpower Purple Thunder begins to be released. A powerful energy envelops his heart as the new ability finally manifests. The hero screams in pain as intense purple electricity courses through his entire body. Then, an explosion of power takes over the room as the release process continues. The blast of power shatters the windows of the protagonist's house, leaving everything in pieces. Outside, some people get spooked by the strange smoke coming from the boy's house. A worried neighbor calls the fire department, thinking something went wrong at the Su family's place. Meanwhile, the hero continues to feel immense pain as the transformation process rapidly advances. The sky suddenly turns dark, and people on the street wonder what caused the change in the weather. High above, an immense dragon made of electricity emerges from the clouds, terrifying everyone. A high-ranking official feels the pressure and thinks that a powerful thunder beast is about to invade. Because of this, he orders the Jiangsheng Third Army to go on maximum alert. The electric creature hovers over the city with a threatening, power-filled gaze. Finally, the process reaches 100%, and the superpower transformation is complete. The energy around him dissipates, and we see that the training room has been completely destroyed. Our protagonist clenches his fist, feeling the overwhelming strength. This is the Divine Thunder, a power so strong it can destroy someone with a single blow. He looks at the mess and thinks that the noise was way too loud, but luckily he managed to get it under control. Then he remembers he got 200 ability points and wonders what they're for. The system explains that the points can upgrade levels and skills, and he can earn more by killing beasts. Xu laughs and says he likes this hack, then tells it to open the panel. The screen shows his status as an unranked awakened with his new S-level ability. Since the exam is tomorrow, he decides to use his 200 points to improve as much as possible. He decides to strengthen his physique and spirit first, since superpowers stem from those attributes. Then, the numbers start to climb rapidly as he distributes his power points. A dark purple aura envelops him as the young man feels the energy flowing through his body. He wonders if this is what it feels like to have your energy and blood circulation enhanced. After that, he clenches his fist and prepares to test his new ability. Our boy slams his lightning-wreathed fist into the ground, demonstrating his overwhelming power. The young man smiles, satisfied, and says that with his basic attributes improved, everything feels much stronger. His two main attributes increased by 20 points, and now he has more vitality and spirit. With his current power, he's sure he'll get into the university and wonders what his ranking will be. Then the protagonist kicks his spear into the air, and as he catches it, he decides to head to a martial arts gym to test his specific power levels. Suddenly, the door to his house is busted open. To the young man's surprise, a few firefighters burst in, leaving him completely confused. The team leader explains that they received an emergency call about a fire there. The hero apologizes and explains that the mess was caused by his superpowers fluctuating. The firefighter understands the situation and radios and that the emergency is over and they can leave. As they're leaving, the man is impressed that a student caused so much commotion just by training. Outside, the fire truck drives away while curious neighbors watch. A neighbor congratulates him on his dedication, and the young man says he's going to practice a bit more. For the awakened, training was essential, which is why martial arts halls were created. Our boy arrives at one of the most famous halls in the nation, the Thunder Hall. The Ferocious Bear Hall is expensive and for rich students, but the Thunder Hall is free for high schoolers. Inside, he sees a group of students and seems to recognize a girl among them. This girl is Tang-Chi, our protagonist's cousin who appears to be quite popular. She has a confident air about her and is chatting excitedly with some other students. The young man approaches and greets her, surprised to find her at the Thunder Martial Arts Hall. His cousin replies that she's just with some friends, while another girl looks on with interest. He then says his goodbyes, telling them he's heading to the training room and to have fun. His cousin thinks he seems different, and her friend asks who that handsome guy was. She reveals that the young man is her cousin, and that he's also taking the military exam tomorrow. Her friend, all excited, says he'd be a great boyfriend to show off. But her cousin throws a bucket of cold water on the idea, revealing that he only has an E-class superpower. One of the guys says he's brave, but the cousin thinks the risks are too high. To change the subject, the girl calls her friends over to finally explore the hall. Her friend comments that he's been training at the Ferocious Bear Hall for 3 years and has never been here before. Meanwhile, our hero is already in a training room, preparing to test his strength. He holds the spear and notices it feels lighter, but realizes it's just because his physique has gotten stronger. With the exam coming up, he knows there's no time to find a more suitable weapon. So he decides to test his maximum strength first, without the help of his superpower. With a focused expression, the young man prepares for the first test strike. He grips the weapon firmly and uses all his strength to deliver a powerful attack. The young man lands a powerful and precise blow on the training target. The spear's impact is so strong that it cracks the entire surface of the target. At this, the meter shows a reading of 321 calories, and the target regenerates. His physical strength has nearly doubled, while a typical awakened only has about 100 calories. Next, he decides to test his new superpower, the Divine Thunder. The hero concentrates, and purple energy begins to crackle around his body. Then he unleashes a lightning attack on the target with the power of thunder. With that, the meter shoots up to an incredible 3,021 calories. As expected of an S-class superpower, he's impressed with the result. But our boy knows this still isn't his power limit. His trump card is combining his physical strength, superpower, and combat skills all at once. So, he combines everything and unleashes an attack even more devastating than the last one. The electrified spear hits the target with overwhelming thunderous force. At the point of impact, a sphere of purple energy forms, ready to explode. With a war cry, he releases all the accumulated power in the final blow. The energy explodes in a vortex of power, completely destroying the training target. In the main hall, everyone feels a strong tremor and wonders if it's an earthquake. On the same floor, the hero's cousin and her friends nearly lose their balance from the shaking. One of the guys is shocked and says the energy fluctuation is from a superpower user. His friend wonders who it could be since the strong users train elsewhere, not here. With that, the protagonist's cousin becomes determined and decides to go check out what happened. The group follows the source of the energy, and they see Shu walking away from the area. She then asks if he's heading home, and our boy confirms, saying he needs to prepare some more. So his cousin wishes him good luck on the exam, and meanwhile, the others head toward the room. They reach the door of the training room, and one of them confirms that the tremor came from in there. When they open it, they see the target completely destroyed and are shocked by the scene. The friend is impressed by the destruction and wonders if there's really a student that's strong in the city. The guy doubts it was a student, thinking it must have been a stronger user who went to the wrong floor. Another classmate agrees, saying that not even the geniuses from the capital cities can reach this level of power. But his friend remembers that Shu was just here and suggests he might be a secret genius. One of the classmates laughs at the idea and says she's been reading too many stories online. The other guy supposes the powerful user must have left through another hallway, which is why they didn't see him. The young woman approaches the destroyed target, and while analyzing the damage, she replies with a maybe. As she touches one of the holes, she notices that the marks look like they were left by a spear. The girl remembers her cousin leaving with his spear, and wonders if she had been underestimating him this whole time. Finally, the day of the military exam arrives, and we see several students gathered in a ruined area. The students get off the buses, already armed and ready for the test to begin. Our protagonist also steps off the bus, carrying his spear with a confident look in his eyes. Some students look at the test site and get scared when they see a one-horned rhinoceros. Then a young man with a giant sword complains, saying they're all trash if they can't handle this. Our hero's best friend, Lu Ji, asks who that guy with the big mouth is. The arrogant young man is Zhou Mingyang, who has a B-level ability and is already a top-tier user. The protagonist stares at the genius, who's favored to be the best this year, and wonders who's actually stronger. Suddenly, a loud voice shouts out, grabbing the attention of all the candidates. Commander Wang Haiyang introduces himself and says he'll explain the rules before the exam. The commander announces that the exam lasts for 12 hours and the location is the ruined city behind him. The area is divided into 4 zones, and stronger beasts grant candidates more points. He warns that the central area is for the very best and tells them not to risk their lives for points. The protagonist thinks that now he can attack the inner zone or even the central area. Then the exam materials are distributed and Shu goes to get his from his teacher. He receives a small bag with 3 essential items for the survival test. The kit includes a smartwatch, a tactical backpack with supplies, and a safety beacon. The teacher advises him to use the safety beacon if he needs to, because his life is more important. Suddenly, the classmate who defended him from the bully calls his name and runs over to him. She invites him to join her team and promises to protect him during the exam. But one of the team members complains that they can't bring someone weak along with them. Another classmate agrees and says they've changed their minds about what they agreed on earlier. They don't want to carry a burden and refuse to let the boy join their team. His friend gets furious with their attitude, and a big argument breaks out. The protagonist just smiles and says he was planning on going in alone anyway, and that they can form their own team. His friend asks if he's serious, and the worried girl tells him to be careful. The other guys mock the situation and call the girl over to go find Wang Tian. Our protagonist gives them a confident smile, and thinks to himself that he'll get a high score even without them. Suddenly, drones fly over the area, and the Jiangcheng Military University exam finally begins. Just like that, all the candidates rush into the ruined city, each with their own ambitions. The hero's cousin and her friends also charge full speed into the test zone. Our protagonist runs headfirst into the exam, thinking that his time has finally come. He then activates his smartwatch to start logging his points for the test. The device confirms his identity as candidate Xu Jingming from Jiangcheng's 2nd high school. Next, the screen shows the rankings, with Zhou Mingyang in first place with 7 points. Seeing how fast the students from the first high school are, he decides it's time to get moving. He figures he's still far from the central area and decides to head straight for the middle of the danger zone. While running through the streets, our protagonist is surprised by something. He stops in shock when he finds a candidate lying lifeless on the ground, their safety beacon still intact. He's shocked to see that the student didn't get to use the safety beacon in time. The protagonist thinks that if he hadn't awakened his S-class power, he would have met the same fate. He then uses his watch to call for logistics and reflects on the risks and opportunities of life. Suddenly, a sound alerts him to imminent danger, and he quickly spins around. A paw with sharp claws appears, and a new enemy emerges. A shadow wolf lunges forward, and the young man realizes it was left here for an ambush. The hero gets ready for combat and shouts that this is a well-laid trap. The beast rushes toward him, snarling and ready to attack, its eyes glowing. The wolf leaps on top of the protagonist, but he dodges with a quick movement and swiftly turns back towards the shadow wolf. He notes that the wolf is agile, has sharp claws and a strong bite, a true killer of newbies. The creature turns to him with a fierce roar, ready to attack again at any moment. Shu knows that beasts have an aura that intimidates their prey, leaving awakened users defenseless. That's why rich families hire bodyguards to get their kids used to these beasts. Our boy thinks that he doesn't have that luxury and that this is his first time fighting a beast. With a roar, the creature lunges at the young warrior with its sharp claws. But he isn't intimidated, and with a confident smile, he channels the thunder's energy into his weapon. Then the hero pierces the beast's head with his electrified spear, ending the fight quickly. He's surprised to realize that the monster's terrifying aura has no effect on him at all. A notification tells him he killed a shadow cat and earned 3 ability points. He thinks that killing beasts gives points, but weaker ones barely give any, which is a problem. Since the monster's auras don't affect him, he decides to head straight for the dangerous central area. Along the way, the protagonist defeats several shadow cats and iron-furred pigs, gaining more points. He continues his hunt and eliminates dozens of beasts, racking up a lot of points. The young man thinks that while he has points, he lacks experience because his power kills the creatures too easily. He notes that his power uses a lot of energy, and if he used it at full strength, he wouldn't last an hour. With the exam lasting 12 hours, the young man decides not to waste his abilities too early. He then decides to use only his spear, but suddenly, a huge creature appears in his path. The large rhinoceros beast charges forward, sending a car flying into the air with impressive force. The monster was heading right for the protagonist, and without fear, our boy prepares for the imminent battle. With an agile leap, he dodges the creature's attack and repositions himself in the air to strike. Then he twists his body and prepares a powerful blow to hit the monster from above. Sue strikes the beast's head with a precise attack, full of brute force. The creature topples to the ground, defeated, and the hero stops beside it, observing the result. He's surprised by his own speed and wonders if his spear technique has evolved. Upon opening the panel, he confirms that his spear technique has leveled up to the intermediate stage. Our boy thinks that if the intermediate technique is already this strong, he can only imagine a more advanced one. Suddenly, several images of advanced spear techniques flood his mind, and he's shocked by the amount of new information he just received all at once. With a smile on his face, he can't wait to test his new power on a strong beast. Meanwhile, the protagonist's friend and her group are walking through the city, and she spots someone in the distance. The girl gets lost in thought and says to herself that she thinks she saw Sue pass by. A classmate tells her she must be seeing things, since it would be suicide for him to come to this area. But the girl is doubtful. The silhouette was identical, and she wonders how he's doing now. Suddenly, a classmate finds the fallen rhinoceros and calls the group over to see the dead creature. The young woman analyzes the beast and notes that the blood is still fresh and the wound was made by a spear. She's shocked and wonders if the person she saw earlier really was Shu. Her friend doubts it, since only a sea-level user could kill the beast alone, and Shu doesn't have that kind of strength. Another classmate suggests that to find out the truth, they just need to check his score on the ranking. The protagonist's friend then checks her watch and is shocked to see his name in the 46th position. Everyone is in disbelief and refuses to accept that an E-level awakened is in the top 50. Meanwhile, in an observation room, the audience comments that the first high school is dominating the top 10. The director of education, Zhang Wenshan, praises Zhou Mingyang and hopes he'll make it into the province's top 100. He congratulates the principals of the first and third high schools, who thank him with smiles on their faces. But the director criticizes the second high school because their best student is only in 18th place. Principal Zhao Yao sees that only 8 of his students are in the top 50 and lists their names. Then he pauses and wonders who this Xu Jingming is, as he's never heard of him before. The other teacher is shocked to hear the name and shouts that it can't be him in the top 50. He wonders if the boy hid his strength, but it's impossible for an E-rank power to suddenly become an S-rank. The teacher laments that only the top 10 have camera coverage, so he can't see how the boy managed to get so many points. Meanwhile, our boy finally reaches the dreaded central area, a high-danger zone. While eating a cracker, he notices there are fewer beasts and figures the stronger ones are intelligent and territorial. Suddenly, Shu senses a presence, and his expression turns serious as a new enemy approaches. With that, a massive tiger appears, destroying cars and advancing with incredible speed. That creature is a blade tiger, a first-class monster with sharp claws and fangs. But our boy thinks he's lucky to have found a strong beast right after entering the central zone. With a smile, he says the monster is perfect for testing his new spear technique. The beast lets out a roar and charges the warrior with everything it's got. Our hero plays a cool spear already in hand, ready for a brawl. He swiftly dodges the creature's first attack. The beast pulls back, a little surprised by its opponent's speed. The MC cracks a little smile and says only a Tiger King would make him break a sweat. With that, he launches a counter-attack, saying he's about to send this beast packing. He faces the monster head on without a shred of fear. Then he lands a clean hit, piercing the creature's body with his spear. The kid stands there posing, just observing the damage he's done. The beast roars in pain and rage, because even riddled with holes, it's not ready to give up. The tiger unleashes a claw attack that slices through and destroys everything around it. The blow is so brutal that even a lamppost is sent flying in 2 pieces. He realizes the critter's vitality is insane and that the beast is still looking for a fight, but our guy warns it that no matter how much the creature struggles, it'll all be useless. With that, he finally decides to use his superpower to end the fight for good. He lets out a shout and channels blue energy into his weapon, prepping for the final blow. The creature screams in agony as the hero's devastating strike hits its mark. Finally, the beast collapses, completely defeated, leaving the scene in total ruin. He notices that first-class beasts are worth almost double the points of unclassified ones. The kid thinks that this dangerous place is actually a goldmine for him to level up. Since a chance like this is rare, he decides to make the most of it to rack up more points. Some time passes and our hero's hunt continues in the ruined city. In the observation room, someone asks Professor Chen Fan if Chu is in his class. Other teachers praise him for having a student in the top 50, but he says all the credit goes to the kid. Out of nowhere, one of the guys points at the screen and announces the kid's ranking just went up again. One of the directors explains that killing an unclassified beast grants up to 8 points. The kid's teacher explains that the watch updates the count every 4 seconds. The director is floored because that means he took out several beasts in just 4 seconds. The director asks the dean why he's never heard of the young man, and the dean replies that he had no idea either. The dean then calls the professor over and asks him to explain what his student's talent is. The professor, all embarrassed, reveals that the student's talent is just a weak E-level electricity. The director is in total shock, and the professor confirms he even advised the kid not to take the exam. The head director figures he must have other qualities, and gets even more curious about the boy. He then says that at this rate the young man will soon break into the top 10 rankings. At that moment they'll find out how he did it, and whether the kid is cheating or not. Suddenly both professors are completely stunned by something they see on the screen. The leaderboard updates and our protagonist's name pops up in the 9th spot on the ranking. Meanwhile, his cousin realizes it was him who caused all the destruction in the training hall. The first place student is surprised to see a rookie in the top 10 and wonders who this Chu Jingming guy is. Just then a drone camera focuses on our protagonist as he runs through the city. The drone films the exact moment he takes down another beast with his spear. He smiles and says the efficiency is much better in the central area, then quickly spots the drone watching him. The kid realizes the tracking drone means he's finally broken into the top 10. With a grin he thinks that he wasn't going to hide his strength, and that the top 10 is just the beginning, but before heading to the core area, he decides to boost his strength one more time using his points. He notes that even with 300 points the system hasn't given him any promotion notifications. So he decides to keep upgrading his basic stats for now. With his stats maxed out, he's feeling great and ready to head for the central area. In the core area, a pack of tigers is devouring another creature they've defeated. Hiding, he spots 9 tigers and realizes the one in the middle is the pack leader. With a grin, he gets ready for a fight, thinking he's about to have one heck of a harvest. Suddenly, his expression turns serious as he senses someone else nearby. Our hero turns and tells the person to come out, saying he already saw them hiding. The guy is surprised by his perception and recognizes him as the rookie from the top 10. Our protagonist recognizes him as Zhou Mingyang and asks if he knows him. The genius explains that he knows all the strong players and noticed the new face on the exam leaderboard. Zhou then says he's got his eye on the tigers, and our hero asks if he's trying to steal his kills. The guy tells him not to get the wrong idea and suggests they work together, but our boy shuts him down immediately. With a confident smirk, the kid says he's more than enough to handle it by himself. He doesn't even give the other genius a second thought, and just heads right in getting ready for the fight. Spear in hand, he walks toward the pack of ferocious tigers. The monsters glare at him with hatred and the pack leader lets out a furious roar. He notices the beasts are smart and are even using a simple attack formation. At that, the tigers roar in unison and prepare to attack the intruder. One of the creatures lunges forward, trying to hit him with its claws. Hiding, Joe just watches, wondering if the rookie has an ace up his sleeve or if he's about to bite the dust. But our guy unleashes his blue energy, showing he's not messing around. He spins his weapon with incredible skill, and the spear becomes enveloped in his powerful aura. The warrior attacks, first unleashing a spinning strike into the middle of the beast pack. The first tiger's attack is deflected, its claw blocked by the spear. The young man dodges and positions himself for a counterattack as the creature rushes past him. With a single precise strike, he finishes off the first beast and gains some skill points. In a flash, 2 more creatures are down, completely defeated by the kid, but he doesn't even have time to breathe as another monster attacks him from behind with its claws. The pack leader roars with fury upon seeing its partners lying on the ground. Our hero laments that his physical strength isn't quite enough to take them all down at once. With that, the remaining tigers surround him, and the leader prepares for the final assault. The Tiger King lets out a deafening roar that releases a powerful wave of energy. The sound is so intense that even the hidden Joe feels the impact and covers his ears. But our guy says the beast might scare others, but it's not going to intimidate him. Without wasting a second, he hurls his spear with all his might toward the pack leader. The creature charges forward to intercept the attack, preparing for a close quarters fight. With an agile leap, the young man jumps onto the creature's back to deliver the final blow. With a precise move, he pierces the monster's body with the blade of his weapon. With that final strike, he takes out the Tiger King and earns 20 skill points from the system. Zhou is completely stunned and wonders what kind of monster this rookie is to defeat them all at once. He smiles at his haul, wondering how many points he'll have by the end of the exam. Our hero thinks the more the better, and decides to look for the next group of beasts. Zhou comes out of hiding and asks how he defeated the tigers and what his ability is. Our hero leaps away and replies that his ability is the lightning type. Zhou gets ticked off and accuses him of lying just to hide his real power. He thinks the rookie will soon catch up to him and score, and decides to check the leaderboard. But to his surprise, the board shows the kid has already passed him, hitting the #1 spot. In the observation room, the directors are celebrating, because now they're certain the guy is a genius. The head director says he could lead the city into the top 100 and congratulates the professor. With tears in his eyes, the young man's teacher says his school will finally get some recognition. 3 hours later, Joe is walking through the core zone wondering where all the beasts went. Suddenly, a girl says he should ask the first place student, and Joe recognizes the two of them. She explains that our hero defeated all the creatures, which is why they had to team up. Joe can't believe it, because it's impossible for one person to have cleared the entire core zone alone. The girl says he must not have seen the rankings, and shows him the first place score. The guy panics when he sees his rival has over 3,400 points. The girl explains that this means he killed nearly 200 beasts alone in the core zone. With that, Joe understands why he didn't want help, and that he had planned this all along. The big guy explains that they're heading to the innermost zone, because the exam is almost over. With a smile, the purple-haired girl invites Joe to join their group. Meanwhile, our hero is resting on a pile of defeated monsters under the moonlight. He eats a granola bar and thinks that his supplies and the exam time are running out. To get more points, he needs to go deeper, but first he decides to get stronger. With that, he opens his status and sees accumulated over 2,400 points. With a mischievous grin, he decides to spend all his points on a single attribute. After the upgrade, he feels ready to face the finale of this year's combat exam. Meanwhile, Joe's group runs through the city together, preparing for the final challenge. Out of nowhere, a giant crystal monster appears, and the final rush of the exam begins. Our hero faces the creature and wonders what this year's second-order beast is. The group of students is on high alert with the arrival of the giant creature. They identify the monster as a bloodthirsty wild bear with glowing red eyes. With one swipe of its paw, the beast destroys everything around it, showing off its absurd power. The group starts to panic because the creature's hide is way too tough, and a single hit could take them all out. Seeing the situation, the dark-haired girl suggests they should give up on the mission. She explains that even before the bear could attack, they'd be defeated by the other high-level monsters. At that, the girl decides to leave, because her life is worth more than points, which irritates the long-haired guy. But suddenly the purple-haired girl points in the distance, saying someone is coming. Another young woman recognizes the person, and is surprised to see it's the first-place student. Our hero then charges forward with his spear in hand, surrounded by his lightning aura. The girl who was about to bail is now complimenting his looks while the others complain about the test. His arrival unfortunately alerts the horde of beasts, which now rush toward him. The MC leaps into the air and with a quick strike of his weapon defeats the first enemy. With no time to rest, more furious creatures charge to attack the young warrior. Alone in the middle of the street, he faces the horde of monsters surrounding him from all sides. The beasts charge all at once, swallowing the protagonist in the middle of the crowd. The group watches in shock, and the girl decides to help, but the bald guy says it's his own fault. They hold her back, but the young woman shouts that the guy is her cousin, and she won't let him perish there. Suddenly, in the midst of the monsters, a purple light begins to shine brightly. With that, a massive explosion of lightning hits everything, and the shockwave sends the horde of creatures flying. Joe feels the energy and wonders if this is the lightning superpower the hero mentioned. At the center of the explosion, the kid stands up surrounded by lightning and the bodies of defeated monsters. He explains that his physical strength can't handle it, which is why he needs to use his ability. With a smirk, he admires his S-rank power and says he's strong as heck. After the dust settles, we see that the young man defeated the entire horde of monsters with a single blow. Now he faces the giant bear, which watches him with its glowing red eyes. With a deafening roar, the giant creature charges to attack the lone warrior. He thinks the bear is big but not very fast, and that his power can handle the job. But he notes that the creature's minions could be a problem once the fight starts. With that, our hero closes his eyes and prepares for the final battle against the huge monster. With his eyes glowing, he decides he'll clear the area first before the main event. In the blink of an eye, he rushes full speed at the giant creature's minions. With a direct hit, he pierces the first monster with the blade of his sharp spear. He continues the attack, and the system notifies him that he's gained 13 superpower points. With a smile, he thinks about his S-rank power, but knows he can't maintain this state for long. But he says it's more than enough to finish off all the ferocious beasts around him. With a spinning strike, he defeats another creature and gains 15 points from the system. Seeing its minions fall, the giant bear roars in fury and prepares to attack. With all its strength, the creature charges at high speed, cracking the ground with its paws. Without hesitation, the young man hurls his lightning-covered spear at the monster's chest. The spear hits the target dead, but the attack doesn't seem to have much effect on the beast. With an agile leap, the kid uses the creature's body to launch himself high into the air. But the bear uses an ice ability and launches a powerful attack at the hero in mid-air. The creature roars with all its might, unleashing a wave of freezing energy. With a grin, the kid asks if the beast is angry because he took out its minions. He tells the beast not to be impatient, because he'll take care of it after defeating the last minion. The giant bear snarls in fury, its red eye glowing with intense hatred. Out of patience, the creature smashes its own minion to get to the warrior faster. Our guy is surprised, not expecting the monster to anticipate his move. With its paws, the beast creates a powerful shockwave that spreads across the entire street. The blast of energy sends cars and debris flying everywhere with immense force. The attack destroys a shadow figure the hero used to trick the giant creature. But the real warrior appears from above, ready to strike the bear's head with his spear. With a smirk, he says, "Now they'll see if the monster's hide can take a beating from his thunder." He says the monster's slower than expected, and then lunges with his electric spear. The strike unleashes a blast of lightning that engulfs the creature, while a drone films the whole thing. The force of the shockwave is so strong the group of students has to brace themselves to avoid being thrown back. Meanwhile, in the control room, the evaluators watch the fight, completely floored by what they're seeing. One of the men then yells at Director Zhao, asking how that could possibly be an E-rank ability. Another guy explains that with this power, he's taken down high-rank beasts and even fought a rank 2 boss. At this, the man with glasses wonders if it could be a case of the kid's ability mutating. But the director just smiles, thinking that after today, the young man's name is going to shake up the entire world. However, even after that massive hit, the giant beast is still standing and glares at our hero with pure rage. The bear then lets out a mighty roar and charges straight for the young warrior without a second's hesitation. The guy is sent flying by the blow and realizes the wound on the monster was just a scratch. He manages to land safely on the ground, using his spear to steady himself so he doesn't fall. Our hero figures the beast's hide is resistant to blades and doesn't conduct electricity well either. Because of that, he knows that with his current strength, it'll be tough to beat the bear in a single shot. Just then, a dark aura begins to seep from the monster's body, making it even stronger. Our hero is stunned to see the shadowy aura that now covers the giant creature's body. With this power up, the beast charges forward with insane speed, destroying everything in its path. The monster leaps toward the young warrior, ready to crush him with its sharp claws. But the guy manages to defend against the attack, using his spear to absorb the full impact of the blow. He realizes the bear has activated its berserk ability, and now hates his guts way more than before. The creature then lands on the ground and stares down the young man with its red, hate-filled eyes. With a deafening roar, the giant bear flashes its sharp fangs to intimidate the kid. Then the beast starts running in a zigzag pattern, trying to confuse our hero with its newfound speed. The hit is so powerful that the guy is thrown back, and his spear ends up flying out of his hands. Even so, he smiles and thinks that the monster's physical strength got a major boost after its transformation. He knows the beast's intelligence has dropped significantly, and that it's now running purely on instinct. So, the best strategy is to use his agility to keep the giant creature at a distance. He grips his weapon tightly and waits for a chance to incapacitate the monster for good. The bear attacks once more, but the young man manages to block the strike with his lightning-wreathed spear. With that, he concentrates a huge amount of energy at the tip of his spear for his final attack. The beast is pushed back by the sphere of energy and tries to resist with all its might. With his eyes glowing, the young warrior then prepares his most powerful strike of all. He raises his arm and unleashes an absurd amount of lightning down on the giant monster. At that moment, the bear is hit dead on by the electric discharge and can't even react. A massive explosion of purple lightning completely envelops the creature, destroying everything around it. After the dust settles, we see the monster on the ground, completely taken down by the attack. With a smirk, he says that 30 seconds of his divine lightning can break through any defense. However, the bear's eye is still glowing red, showing that it hasn't been defeated just yet. With that, the creature gets up, fuming with rage, and charges toward our hero once again. But the beast stops mid-stride, as the electric attack ended up leaving it paralyzed. Our protagonist gives a sinister grin and says that now's the time to end this. He then backs up a bit and grips his spear with both hands, getting ready to attack. The guy channels all his electrical energy into the weapon, making it vastly more powerful. He aims the spear at the monster's head and uses his strongest technique for the final blow. With that, a beam of energy pierces through the giant bear's head, defeating it once and for all. The monster's head explodes on impact, destroying the ground around it and creating a massive crater. And with that, the giant beast body finally falls to the ground, completely still and defeated. The system then informs him that he's defeated the bear and gained 24 skill points. The guy says it's finally over and that his enhanced power didn't let him down in the fight. He smiles, thinking the battle only lasted 2 minutes but was the most thrilling one he's ever had. With his spear in hand, he wonders how many points he'll get for clearing out the core area. Back in the control room, the time for the combat exam finally runs out for everyone. The final scoreboard shows Xu Jingming with 10,835 points, leaving everyone in shock. The directors celebrate like crazy, as he not only broke the city's record but the province's record too. They recall that the previous champion scored 8,000 points, and that this kid has already secured the title. He looks at the beast's body and realizes there isn't much time left before the exam ends. The guy then decides to head back to the central area and take down as many monsters as he can. With that, the young warrior starts running back and passes by the group of students. The others are shocked and wonder why he's heading back since he's already in first place. The girl with purple hair notices that, based on his direction, he's going toward the city's central area. At that, her eyes go wide as she understands he's not going back to rest. The group then realizes our hero's intention is to wipe out all the remaining beasts. Because of this, the long-haired guy says the team up is over, and if they don't hustle, they'll be left with no points. They all split up and run desperately to try and snag some points before time is up. An hour later, an announcement declares the exam is over and that taking down beasts no longer awards points. One of the girls hears the announcement, completely exhausted, and realizes it's finally over. Some students lament that they were so close to passing, while others celebrate their results. Our protagonist is standing in the middle of several defeated monsters but seems unsatisfied that it's over. The candidates are then escorted out of the test area by guards and a few drones. Another group of students leaves the combat zone, looking pretty worn out after the fight. Near the bus, a girl asks Kyuki if the hero is really her cousin, and she confirms it. With a sly grin, her friend then begs her to slide over the guy's number. The cousin says she'll think about it, because yesterday she wouldn't give him the time of day. But now everything's changed. Just then, someone shouts that Xu Jingming is coming out, and the crowd rushes in his direction. Everyone gets super excited and shoves each other to try and get a closer look at the first place winner. The protagonist then appears with a calm and determined look on his face as he stares at the crowd. The crowd congratulates him, and some even ask for points, but he just keeps walking without a care. He completely ignores the other students and walks toward the school bus. Meanwhile, the second and third place winners admit that he's a monster with that score. A man then approaches and introduces Director Zhao, who offers the young man a ride. The guy accepts, knowing he wouldn't get a moment of peace on the bus, with so many people hounding him with questions. With that, the two get into a black car and leave the exam site at high speed. Inside the vehicle, the director asks if he's already decided which university he wants to go to. The protagonist replies that he's been too focused on getting stronger and hasn't thought about it. The man then says he can pick anyone he wants, but recommends the top 3 in the country. The director introduces Qingjing University, which is linked to an official organization and guarantees a job after graduation. Next, he shows him Modu University, where the National Guardian graduated from and which has many elite clubs for students. And finally, Jinqing, which has 200 years of history and high-level cultivation methods for students to strengthen themselves. The young man then wonders what exactly these level superpower cultivation methods he mentioned are. The man explains that with a beginner method, it takes up to 4 years to evolve, but with an elite one, it takes only half a year. He tells the kid not to worry, because with his results, he can choose any university he wants and get extra perks. The young man thanks the director for all his help, and the car continues on its way through the dark and empty city at night. The next day, our protagonist wakes up and heads straight to the shower to wash up and relax a bit. He enjoys the hot water to rest his body after the intense battle he had in yesterday's combat exam. While he's at it, he checks his stats and sees he has 2,534 points, which is enough to get into college. He then wonders if college will have beast slaying competitions and considers heading into the wilderness on his own. Meanwhile, his aunt and cousin arrive at his apartment and see the door is broken, so they decide to sneak in. With that, the two burst in yelling, "Surprise!" not knowing that he had just gotten out of the shower at that very moment. Our hero walks out of the bathroom wearing only a towel, and is shocked to see them both there, while they're totally embarrassed by the scene. He then looks at the mess in his room, and thinks about how he can blame them for the situation when the place was already a total disaster. He remembers that after his parents passed away, his aunt took care of him with so much love. She calls his name and looks at him with a gentle smile while holding a glass. His aunt says she doesn't understand the exam, but she was worried and now feels relieved that he's okay. The guy then asks his cousin if she hadn't told her mom anything yet. The girl winks at him and says it's better if he tells the old news to her himself. With an embarrassed smile, He says he did well and scored over 10,000 points on the test. The woman is so shocked by the news that she does a full-on spit take with the drink in her mouth. She asks how many points he scored, and his cousin confirms it was 11,234 points. His aunt is still speechless and looks at her nephew, completely in disbelief at what she just heard. With that, she hugs him, crying with happiness, and says his parents would be so proud of him. Meanwhile, in a meeting room, a woman presents our hero's profile on a large screen. One of the men says they need to recruit him, but another doubts he could have achieved such a high score. They start arguing about whether the guy's power is S rank, or if he cheated on the exam somehow. Suddenly, a mysterious voice orders everyone to stop discussing the matter immediately. The woman then decides to list him as a special recruit, and will personally investigate the case. On his phone, the guy gets a message from the Jiangnan Province Bureau of Education. With a smile on his face, he's thrilled to see the notification that just popped up on his screen. He then celebrates because he got first place and is now the top student in the province. Because of this, his name becomes the hottest topic on the internet, and everyone doubts his power. Meanwhile, at an awards ceremony, several reporters gather to cover the event. A journalist then asks director Zhao what he has to say about the doubts surrounding the results. Other reporters also pressure him, saying that many people think it was a conspiracy. The director then says that the video of the exam is already on the school's website for everyone to check. Upon seeing the video, the journalists are shocked and wonder how that could possibly be an E-rank ability. The director says the video proves everything is real and that the young man deserves major recognition. He then reveals a check for 1 million yuan and says the government will also give the young man a house. One of the reporters gets excited and tells the cameraman to snap a photo for the newspaper's headline. The woman from the meeting is still suspicious and thinks it's important to confirm his power level. Two directors are talking, and one wonders why the star of the day hasn't arrived yet. The other says the hero is training, and the older one is impressed by his dedication. In a room, a director offers tea to three important professors, holding a tray in his hands. One of the guests then picks up a teacup with a very slow and intimidating gesture. Director is sweating bullets just from feeling the aura of the high-level superhumans they're emitting. The pressure is so intense that he feels like he's standing in front of legendary monsters. He then wonders if the university representatives are about to come to blows right here in the room. Director Zhang Xiaoyu from Modu University asks who they're trying to recruit. At this, Su Yun from Qingjing University says that if the kid's result is real, he's already hers. But Wu Yuan from Jin City University disagrees, stating that the young man is coming to his school. With that, an aura battle begins between the three, who all want the new talent for themselves. Just then, our protagonist arrives in the room and greets the professors calmly. The guy's arrival interrupts the fight, and everyone looks at him, surprised by his composure. Director Zhang is impressed, because he wasn't fazed by their pressure in the slightest. The director then formally introduces the representatives from the top 3 universities in the country. The woman praises him, saying she saw the exam video and that his combat techniques are insane. But she asks why his power seems so much stronger than what's listed in his file. The guy was expecting the question and explains that he was struck by lightning, which made his power stronger. Hearing this, the 2 representatives conclude that what happened to him was a superpower mutation. Director Zhang then takes out a detector and asks him to test his new mutant ability on the device. She gets closer to the young man and tells him to use his superpower on the detection instrument. The protagonist channels his electrical energy into the device, which begins to glow intensely with lightning. Director Su Yun is impressed by the strength of the lightning and admits she can even feel her heart pounding. The detector then completes its analysis and identifies the power as divine purple cloud thunder. But the device starts beeping uncontrollably and then cracks under the energy overload. Suddenly, the detector explodes into 1,000,000 pieces, and everyone has to shield themselves from the shrapnel. The director is spooked by the explosion and wonders what in the world just happened in the room. The other 2 confirm that the guy's power is at least S rank since it overloaded the device. Director Zhang looks at the young man with a smile and thinks they bet on the right horse. Wu Yuan then offers 4 million and C-rank equipment for him to go to Jin City University. Director Su Yun glares at him and asks if he's seriously offering the kid that chump change. With a smile, she offers 6 million and access to all training methods for 1 year. The guy is shocked by the generous offer Director Su Yun just made, but Director Zhang says that Modu can match any offer and throw in S-rank resources on top of it. The other 2 are left speechless and wonder what these S-rank resources are. Our protagonist is also confused and asks what exactly that type of resource is. The woman then asks if he's ever heard of dragon-type beasts, which are extremely rare. These beasts are born at level 4 or 5 and are much stronger than others. She explains that the resource is the blood of a dragon, which enhances one's physique and grants an affinity for that element. The other 2 are annoyed because they can't compete with such a valuable offer. With that, the three ask the young man to choose which of the universities he wants to join. With a smile on his face, our hero then announces that he has chosen Modu University. The young man explains he chose Modu for its high level of combat training and tradition. He then turns to the other two and thanks them for their consideration. With a smile, Director Zhang materializes the admission letter for the young student. She hands him the invitation and says that as a special recruit, he can enroll early. Our hero then asks if he can consult the library's training methods beforehand. The woman says there's no problem and gives him her contact info for when he arrives in the city. Holding the letter, he's super excited and can't wait to go register at the university. Some time later at the station, the guy waits to board the train to Magic City with his suitcase. His aunt and uncle say their emotional goodbyes, saying the boy has finally grown up and is going to soar. The uncle then tells Kiki to also choose a college in Magic City to stay close to him. His cousin gets all flustered at the idea, but ends up agreeing with her parents in the end. Once on the train, he decides to use the 6-hour trip to review a training method. A chart shows that just like powers, training methods also have 4 levels. He's practicing an intermediate method, and it took him half a day to memorize everything with his power. Following the method, he felt a special energy between heaven and earth on the very first day. With that, the guy notices a prompt to level up has appeared, but he decides not to click it. He knows that the higher the method's level, the stronger he becomes, so he doesn't want to waste the opportunity. After arriving in the city, he gets off the train and walks toward a car waiting for him outside. He's shocked by the size of the school's gate and wonders what it must be like inside. Director Zhang greets him in a red car and takes him to register at the university. She says the campus is about 14 square miles, and one day isn't enough to see it all. The young man admits that seeing it with his own eyes is much better than just hearing about the place. After the paperwork, she hands him his student ID card to get into the dorms. He remembers that in his past life, he saw many types of dorms, even luxury apartments. But the kid is shocked to see that the dorm is a multi-story luxury mansion. The woman explains that since he's the first place winner, he'll live in the most luxurious villa, which is 800 square meters. Our hero thinks that a double dorm would be better than being alone, but he'd actually prefer a room with 4 people. Once inside the house, she says the registration is complete and now she'll explain some rules. Holding up 2 fingers, the director talks about the credit system and the mentor system. She explains that credits are used for everything and that 1 credit is equivalent to 10,000 in cash. She explains that he gets 100 credits per year for being S rank and then calls for the AI Eva. With that, a floating sphere appears and informs the young man that he has 100 credits in his account. The director says this is the school's AI and that the one in the dorms is a level 4 subunit. The guy is shocked by the technology, as it's far more advanced than anything from his previous world. She then moves on to the mentor system, where each student can choose one for themselves. Our hero is surprised and asks if, as a freshman, he can get one-on-one guidance from a mentor. The woman confirms that the mentors are high level and teach secret techniques to their disciples. She recommends Dean Yang Zhenshin, who is one of the school's 4 lightning element mentors. The AI shows that Yang is a level 7 superhuman and a master in the use of thunder spears. The director introduces the other 3 mentors and says the final choice is now all his. With a smile, the young man thinks that Dean Yang is the best choice since he uses the same element. Sometime later, the protagonist goes to a large, traditional-style residence in the forest. He stops in front of the gate and thinks the mentor's house is way more luxurious than the student's. A man with brown hair sees him on the steps and asks if he's there to become a disciple. The guy is surprised to see that the young man is just a newly awakened and a specially recruited student. He says that special recruits are usually high level, and he didn't expect a newly awakened among them. The guy introduces himself as Tan Minjiang, a 3rd year, and our hero says he just enrolled today. Tan thinks it's a bit quick for him to already be seeking a mentor, and the young man is confused by what he said. The upperclassman explains about the freshman competition, where professors look for new disciples. He says becoming the dean's disciple is as hard as winning the lottery, and he might just be wasting his time. The protagonist thanks him for the explanation and asks if the upperclassman is also there for the dean. Tan confirms he's tried several times but was always rejected, and was just about to give up. Just then, a butler opens the door to the house, and is surprised to see the 2 young men. With a smile, the butler invites them in, and says that Professor Yang is already waiting. Tan finds the warm welcome strange and wonders if he'll finally get a chance to be accepted. The butler leads them inside the house, where a man with graying hair waits for them, seated. Our hero feels the powerful presence of Dean Yang Zhenshin, a level 7 superhuman. The master then says he's heard of him and invites him to the training room. The master says he saw the kid's exam video and praises his advanced combat skills and marksmanship. But before anything else, he wants to see the young man's S-rank power with his own eyes, and Shu agrees on the spot. With that, the protagonist starts channeling his electrical energy and purple lightning arcs around his body. He then unleashes an insane amount of power, filling the entire room with his purple electricity. The master is blown away and recognizes the kid's ability as the legendary Divine Purple Sky Thunder. He has a lightning ability himself, but he knows the gap between an A rank and an S rank is impossible to bridge. So the dean says that with Xu Jingming's potential, there's no problem at all with him becoming his disciple. However, the man warns that he has many enemies, and if the kid becomes his disciple, some of them might even come after him. Without a second of hesitation, our hero kneels before the master, showing his resolve. The young man says he's ready and that he admires the strongest who have grown amidst brutal battles. With a smile, the master accepts the kid as his 32nd disciple and his first ever S-rank one. He tells the boy to rise and hands him a top-tier training method and a combat technique. Xu Jingming realizes it's a technique to strengthen his physique, which is far more precious than common techniques. The dean explains that the training method is one of the top 3 in the school, and that the technique is his life's work. The protagonist is stunned to find out he received an S-rank combat technique, and his master looks proud. A pyramid chart shows the ranking of techniques. The higher the rank, the more difficult and powerful it becomes. The protagonist thinks that most masters only have A-rank techniques and that his teacher is incredible for creating an S-rank one. The dean explains that the technique has 13 levels and only works for lightning users who want to transform their bodies. He then tells the kid to train with the extreme method first and then come back so he can help him build the foundation for the new technique. With that, the boy thanks his teacher, thinking how a master's guidance is so much better than trying to figure everything out alone. The man reveals he only reached the 10th level and that Xu is his greatest hope to prove the technique's true potential. With a serious look, he says that if the young man reaches the final level, his physique could become something truly special. With a clenched fist, the protagonist understands that his body could become eternal and completely indestructible. Leaving the house, our hero sees his senior Tan Miang on the ground looking totally wrecked as the butler opens the door. The protagonist then walks over to the guy and asks what happened to him to be in such a state. The side character complains about some guy named Liu, the dean's disciple, and how he has to beat him using only 10% of his strength. The senior then asks if Xu also failed, but the kid replies that he actually already passed the test. The guy is in shock and can't believe it since he's never seen a master accept a disciple before the freshman competition. He wonders if the kid is the director's son, but our hero just continues on his way, lost in thought. Back in his dorm, the protagonist meditates in the training room with purple energy floating around him. He notices that the top-tier training method is way better, as the primordial energy he feels is much stronger. With a smile, he thinks he's already mastered the method, so he's going to use his points to level up directly. He then taps the system screen and selects the option to add points and finally level up. An intense purple energy envelops his body as the evolution process begins in the training room. The boy shows a pained expression as the energy flows violently throughout his entire body. Suddenly, an explosion of power erupts in the room, showing the massive intensity of his transformation. After the dust settles, he breathes a sigh of relief and sees that he's finally managed to reach the first level. The kid gets up and looks at his hand, which is now covered in much more powerful purple lightning. He feels his power has increased about 5 times, and now he could probably take down that bear with just his thunder alone. Looking at his stats, he notices he gained almost 100 points and that the difference between cultivation methods is huge. The protagonist sees that the advancement only costs 300 points, so he decides to save the rest for the combat technique. He looks at the book for the new technique, thinking it's even more important, and wonders how long it will take. The next day, our hero returns to his master's house to show off his incredible progress. The dean is completely shocked to see the kid and can't believe how fast he was. He says that in 20 years, the best geniuses took their time, but Xu did it all in less than 24 hours. The protagonist says that speed is his only pride and that he already tried to cultivate the master's technique, but it was difficult. The dean explains that the technique's foundation uses beast blood and the user's power to strengthen muscles and bones. So, since the kid is already advanced, the master decides he'll help him forge the base of the indestructible body today. The man reveals he acquired an SS rank resource by combining the blood of a bear he killed himself with an S rank resource. With that, he shows a potion containing the blood of a lightning tyrannosaurus, an 8th level beast. The boy is moved by his master's kindness and promises to repay him for everything in the future. The dean says the thought is nice, but they shouldn't waste time and should start the process right away. In the training room, the master pours the blood over the boy's body, who immediately feels intense pain. He warns that the blood is very toxic to weaker users, so the pain the kid is feeling is normal. The man says he will now use his own thunder to forge the boy's body foundation, and how much he absorbs is up to him. He unleashes his power, and red lightning strikes the young man on the floor, who is trying to endure the pain. The protagonist screams in agony as the red energy and lightning flow relentlessly through his entire body. 5 days later, a girl and the butler comment on how the new disciple is surprisingly tough. The young woman says that comparisons can be cruel and that he deserves the blood of that 8th level beast. With a smile, she comments that with his S-rank power, she's excited to see the boy's indestructible body. Suddenly, a loud cracking sound startles the duo who were chatting peacefully. Worried, the young woman rushes upstairs, wondering if the new disciple's foundation has finally been forged. With a curious smile, she cracks open the door to peek at what's happening inside. She's shocked to see the boy with red eyes and a dark aura, completely out of control. The girl feels a threat from him like that of a high-level beast, and it makes her tremble with fear. The protagonist's body releases a wave of energy, and he looks like he's about to attack anything in sight. Seeing the situation, the master shouts with all his might for Jingming to finally wake up and snap out of it. The dean's shout works, and the boy stops his attack at the last second, just before hitting his new senior. Totally confused, he asks his teacher what happened and why he felt an urge to destroy everything. The master explains that the Tyrannosaurus blood influenced his mind due to the creature's ferocity. But he reassures him, saying the effects will fade as he gets stronger and learns to control his emotions. The boy feels more relieved but says he doesn't want to be controlled and do something he might regret. Then the man cheers him up, saying the forging was perfect with a 98% absorption rate, breaking a record. With that, the young woman introduces herself as his senior, Lu Ming, and congratulates him on successfully forging his body. He greets her, and as a welcome gift, the girl decides to transfer some credits to the freshman. The protagonist is shocked by the 200 credits and thinks the gift is way too generous for a simple greeting. The master says that 200 credits are nothing, and that the upperclassmen should take good care of the underclassmen at school. With the foundation forged, the dean tells him to rest and come back the next day to train spear techniques with his senior. Back in his luxury dorm, our hero can finally relax a bit after all that hard work. But as he enters the room, he finds a white-haired kid playing video games, chilling on the sofa. The guy turns around and introduces himself as Lu Wentao, his new roommate at the university. As soon as Xu Jingming introduces himself, the other guy is shocked, recognizing him as the top scorer in the province. He explains that he knows most of the freshmen and heard about the commotion our hero caused during the exam. The roommate then starts firing off a bunch of questions about his city and his E-rank power. The protagonist finds his roommate quite talkative and friendly, thinking about how he always hated being lonely in both of his lives. In his past life, he grew up in an orphanage and never had a sense of belonging until he made friends in school. His happiest time was in college, having fun with friends, and he wonders how he ended up in this world. He didn't expect to be an orphan again, but with a roommate like this, at least he won't feel lonely anymore. The white-haired guy says he's heading to the martial arts hall, and our hero decides to tag along to check it out. With that, the two arrive at the Magic University's branch, the famous Thunder Martial Arts Hall. Upon entering, our hero's roommate is impressed by how bustling and crowded the place is. Some students are showing off, one bragging about his flame technique and another claiming his metal skin is tougher. Wentao explains that the main hall can hold 300 people and is made of a special metal that doesn't break. He also mentions there are private rooms, but Xu Jingming thinks the public area is good enough for now. The white-haired guy starts showing off himself, and the protagonist jokes that he's not being so quiet either. He asks the artificial intelligence what the huge pillars scattered around the training hall are for. Eva explains they are strength challenge leaderboards with 5 levels, and if they rank in the top 3,000, they get 50 credits. The guy gets excited about the chance to earn easy credits and decides to try the challenge right away. An announcement informs everyone that Lu Wentao has started the strength challenge and asks them to cheer him on. Some bullies notice he's just a mid-rank freshman and get ready to laugh at him. With the pressure of everyone watching, Wentao gets nervous and knows he can't embarrass himself in front of so many people. He then yells and prepares to throw the strongest punch he can at the test pillar. With all his might, the guy lands a powerful punch on the pillar, creating a huge impact on the target. The result is 476 kilograms, and he's relieved he didn't make a fool of himself with that score. But Eva surprises him by saying his rank is over 100,000, which leaves him completely stunned. The AI reveals that the leaderboard includes all students from the last 100 years, which is why everyone was staring at him. The bullies burst out laughing and make fun of the freshman's red face after he just embarrassed himself. The protagonist consoles his friend, saying that physical strength isn't his strong suit, and the guy challenges him to try too. Our hero accepts the challenge, and his roommate says the honor of their dorm is in his hands now. An announcement informs everyone that Xu Jingming has started the strength challenge, and everyone in the hall looks at him curiously. The background characters comment that he looks even weaker, but one of them finds the guy's name kind of familiar. He thinks about his advancement and the 5 days he spent forging his body's foundation as he prepares for the test. With a clenched fist, the young man wonders what the true level of his strength is, and that this punch will reveal everything. With that, the protagonist focuses and prepares a punch with an aura of power surrounding his body. He then launches his arm with incredible speed, unleashing all his strength in the attack. The punch hits the pillar with a devastating impact while all the other students watch the scene. The result appears on the screen, marking an incredible 4,589 kilograms of force. The leaderboard then updates, showing that he not only took first place but also broke the record. The bullies' jaws drop, and one of them says that with a punch like that, he'd be turned into meat paste. 2 girls comment that the record had stood for 10 years and that they need to record this historic moment. His roommate gets super excited and says he's going to follow the protagonist wherever he goes from now on. Our hero thinks the result was better than expected and that he and the Tyrannosaurus blood are a good match. Eva then congratulates Xu Jingming and informs him that 400 credits have been added to his account as a reward. He asks if he can earn more credits by breaking the record again, but the AI explains it only counts the first time. The crowd goes wild, and several girls surround our hero, wanting his attention any way they can get it. They invite him to their clubs and offer to teach him how to use the equipment, but he seems uncomfortable. The protagonist then grabs his friend and the two escape the crowd of fans to a more empty training room. His senior Lu Ming tells the master that the freshman has become the talk of the town on the campus forum. She remembers her own strength was 3,500 kilograms and realizes the kid is much stronger than she is. Elsewhere, a brown-haired guy smashes a table in anger upon finding out that Xu also went to the capital. With a flaming fist, he remembers how the protagonist made him lose his honor and become a laughingstock. The guy then swears that this time he will reclaim all the honor that belongs to him and was stolen by him. In the training room, our hero thinks that even after 5 days without eating, he's still full of energy. He tests his new durability and realizes his body is now comparable to an E-rank alloy and immune to blades. Suddenly, his roommate runs in and says the news of the record has blown up, and everyone wants to challenge him. With a confident smile, the protagonist thinks that the martial spirit of this university is really strong. His roommate offers to help teach the guys a lesson, but the young man tells him not to waste his time. With that, our hero arrives alone at the impressive and modern battle techniques library of the university. As he approaches the entrance, he uses his hand and feels a golden energy barrier protecting the place. He remembers the rumors that not even a 9th-level master could get in, and is amazed by the security. The young man then simply swipes his student card on the reader to access the library. The energy barrier opens without any issues, and he enters the building feeling like a true VIP. Right at the reception, 3 librarians greet him by name and call him an S-grade student. The boy wonders how they know who he is, and the woman explains they were notified when he entered. The librarian thinks to herself that she needs to befriend him because an S-grade student has unlimited potential in the future. He then asks where the lightning techniques are, and the librarian tells him the rarest ones are on the 4th floor. With a smile, the woman guides him through the place, and the protagonist thanks her for her help and attention. The artificial intelligence explains that the original manuals are extremely valuable, so he needs to be careful. The young man then asks Eva to show him all the lightning element battle techniques of B grade and above. Suddenly, several holographic screens appear in front of him with a giant list of techniques for him to choose from. The screens show 2 techniques, an SS rank 1 that creates a storm domain, and an SS rank 1 that summons a punishing thunder. The protagonist is impressed by the SS grade techniques and wonders if he can view them for free, but he realizes he can only learn A grade techniques for now, and that there are many different types. Fortunately, his teacher had already made a list of recommendations, which saves him a lot of time. Based on the list, he chooses 4 techniques: a lightning spear, a chain gun, a thunder flash, and a thunder prison. He thinks that with the combination of these 4 techniques and his indestructible body, he'll have almost no weaknesses. The artificial intelligence says it would take 6 months to learn each one, but he refuses the suggestion to change. The librarian then brings a stack of books with the techniques he chose so he can study them. The young man is impressed by the luxurious appearance of the books and thinks their value is priceless. As he opens one, he feels the profound aura and understands why he can only learn from the original manuals. With that, he starts reading the books one by one, absorbing all the knowledge of the battle techniques. Time passes, and the young man remains focused on reading, completely immersed in the secrets of the skills. Even though he's tired, he turns the last page, determined to master all the techniques he chose. After finishing everything, he throws himself into a chair and tells the system to add points to his new skills. 4 notifications pop up, informing him that 200 points were spent on each technique to learn them. He looks at his new status panel and sees that all 4 techniques have been learned at the elementary level. With a clenched fist, he feels powerful and wonders who will be the first lucky person to taste his new techniques. Back in the dorm that night, he meets up with his roommate, who was waiting for him anxiously. His friend warns him that the freshman assembly is tomorrow and that he should join the class group chat. The guy then asks which techniques the protagonist chose, and our hero replies that he picked 4 A-grade ones. Wen Tao is shocked and says it would take until his 3rd year to learn all that, but that he really is different. He wonders if his friend has A-grade permission, and the young man corrects him saying it's actually S-grade. The roommate panics and wonders if the rumor about his friend's power not being E-rank was true. With a confident smile, the protagonist says that his know-it-all friend just found out one more thing about him. The white-haired guy is amazed and didn't expect him to be an S-rank user since the others are only A-rank. With a thumbs up, he thinks it was the right decision to bet on his friend and that he'll be a longtime fan later on. In the training room, our hero holds a spear and thinks he needs to speed up his improvement. He then asks the artificial intelligence to open the school's shop and search for spear-type weapons. Several spear options appear, and he decides to choose an E-rank one weighing 210 kilograms along with a combat suit. The purchase of 237 credits is confirmed, and the guy laments how quickly credits disappear. Holding the training spear, he thinks he'll use it to practice his new combat techniques that night. The next day at the freshman assembly, all the new students gather in a large auditorium. The girls get excited seeing Xu Jingming and comment on how he's unexpectedly handsome for someone so strong. Suddenly, a guy shows up and challenges our hero in front of everyone, without any ceremony. The crowd recognizes Lei Zhou, the runner-up, and comments that no one challenges him because of his wealthy family. The protagonist simply says he's not interested in the challenge, and his roommate is surprised. The guy doesn't take no for an answer and reminds the young man that his aunt's family sells rare flowers and plants. He reveals that his family is his aunt's biggest buyer and that she owes them a large debt. With a furious look, our hero wonders if the guy is trying to threaten him using his family. Suddenly, a fierce aura erupts from the boy's body, and the challenger backs away, frightened by the pressure. The side character feels the aura of a beast and realizes the young man isn't threatening him, but just giving a warning. The protagonist then accepts the challenge and sets the place and time for the duel, which will happen in 7 days. The crowd gets super excited about the news of the fight between the number 1 and number 2 and plans to get there early. On stage, a professor begins his speech, welcoming the new students to the Magic University. He explains that the assembly is to answer questions, but that the main focus will be the combat power ranking. The man says they will fight in a simulation and the ranking will be based on the number of clears. Finally, the assembly ends and the professor bids farewell to the students with a smile. The audience also leaves the auditorium, chatting excitedly about the university's latest news. Our hero yawns and thinks the meeting was long, but that he'll try out the virtual simulation someday. Meanwhile, his senior and his master are diligently helping him train his new combat techniques. During training, the protagonist uses his lightning power to further enhance his skills with the spear. 7 days later, his senior Lu Ming is shocked to see that he has already advanced to the middle stage of the first level. The guy thinks that he waited on purpose not to scare his senior, and that he only spent 386 points. She then reminds him of the challenge he has against the other freshman, and the young man confirms the fight is today. With a smile, the young woman says she'll go with him to see his strength and to observe 3 minutes of silence for his opponent. With that, the two arrive at the broadcast platform where the duel will take place in front of everyone. The audience comments that it's a good chance to see the top scorer's strength, but some think he's going to lose. Suddenly, the protagonist arrives at the location with his spear and a new jacket, ready for battle. The senior thinks that with the guy's looks, he's going to charm a lot of girls once he becomes more successful. On the other side of the arena, Lei Zhou notices his opponent's rank has increased but isn't fazed by it. Lei Zhou proposes a bet for all their credits and our hero instantly accepts with his 370. The side character says he has a lot of credits and that they should transfer everything to Master Zhou to avoid any issues. Professor Zhou Yun, a mid-tier 6th level healer, will be responsible for supervising the fight. The protagonist agrees to the rules and realizes the school doesn't want students to get seriously hurt. The audience is thrilled by the 3,700,000 credit bet, and a wave of excitement fills the air. The professor confirms receipt of the credits and warns that if anyone loses consciousness, the other must stop. With a confident smile, our hero says he understands the rules and gets ready for the combat to begin. On the other side of the arena, Lei Zhou wields his broadsword with a serious and focused look. With a smirk, he also confirms he understands the rules and is ready to start fighting. The guy unleashes his firepower and vows to take back all the honor the protagonist made him lose. The audience feels the intense heat and comments on how terrifying an A-rank fire superpower really is. With his sword in flames, the side character prepares to deliver a powerful flaming slash at his opponent. He then charges forward at high speed, leaving a trail of fire in his wake, ready to strike. Our hero blocks the blow with his spear and the two weapons clash, creating an explosion of sparks. The audience is in shock to see him block such a powerful blow without even using a combat technique. Lei Zhou is in disbelief and can't understand how his attack was blocked so easily. The protagonist says that nothing is impossible, and the only reason for this is that his opponent is just too weak. With that, he counterattacks with a powerful electric strike that hits the side character dead on, giving him no chance to defend. Electricity courses through the guy's body and he screams in pain from the overwhelming impact of the attack. Our hero's spear keeps pressing and the purple energy intensifies more and more on his opponent's body. With no strength left to continue, the young man falls to the ground, completely defeated and surrounded by white smoke. The audience is stunned and can't believe the fight is already over with just 2 moves from the protagonist. Senior Lu Ming thinks the fight was boring because the guy couldn't even draw out 10% of his power. The professor starts to announce the winner of the match but is interrupted by the loser on the ground. With difficulty, Lei Zhou gets up and says he hasn't surrendered yet and the match isn't over. He then takes out a mysterious red pill and prepares to use it in the middle of the fight. The professor yells that he's crazy for using a bloodburst pill in a simple match. The audience comments on the pill's side effects, which can leave the user bedridden for months. The guy says he'll take responsibility and that he's going all out because he can't lose this fight. The audience starts to protest, saying that using pills is cheating and it should be against the rules. The professor explains that since it's an informal duel, weapons and medicine are allowed for both sides. With that, Lei Zhou swallows the pill and starts screaming as an intense fire aura erupts around him. The professor thinks the pill isn't low quality and that the guy is now at level 2, which is a problem. A girl in the audience comments that our hero's fighting spirit has grown even stronger with the challenge. With the spear in his hands, the protagonist thinks that his opponent has finally stopped playing around and is going to fight seriously. The young man is now enveloped in his lightning power, preparing for a promising second round. With impressive speed, the side character charges forward to attack, but our hero is ready for combat. The two clash again, but this time the fire power is deflected by the protagonist's electric spear. The guy is thrown back by the force of the impact and creates fire clones to try to confuse his opponent. Even with his level 2 strength, he can't overcome our hero's power and gets frustrated. He wonders what kind of monster the young man is and decides to attack from a distance if brute force doesn't work. The protagonist dodges the attack and asks if that's all he has to show in today's fight. The side character realizes his opponent's lightning ability is flawless but thinks he still has a chance if he drains his power. He then launches several fire attacks from a distance, but our hero prepares to use one of his new techniques. With the spear in hand, he spins and creates a barrier of purple lightning that blocks all the fire projectiles. The side character screams in pain from the shock and realizes he's trapped in an electric snare. He panics when he sees his opponent also has ranged attacks and that the situation has gotten really complicated. A sphere of purple energy forms above him, and the guy wonders what kind of technique it is. The protagonist reveals his technique, Thunder Prison, and the side character is surrounded by electric chains. He realizes it's a containment technique and tries to use his strength to break free from the chains. With all his energy, he creates a fire barrier to protect himself from the electric attacks. He challenges the protagonist, saying that now neither of them can move and it will be a battle of endurance. Our hero thinks the fire barrier is a good defense and prepares to see how many hits it can take. With a quick move, he hurls his electric spear toward the opponent's fire barrier. The protagonist then uses his thunder chain gun to attack with even more force and precision. Several lightning projectiles hit the fire barrier with devastating force, shattering the defense. The guy panics and throws himself to the ground as he sees the attacks coming straight for him. Scared, he screams that he'll surrender because he knows if he gets hit by that, he's definitely a goner. At the last second, he screams for the protagonist to stop the attack and closes his eyes, expecting the worst. The spear's tip stops inches from his face, and our hero halts the blow instantly. With a final move, he disarms his opponent and presses the spear to his chest, showing who's boss. The defeated guy kneels on the ground, and the protagonist withdraws his spear with an air of superiority. The professor then announces the winner of the match, Xu Jingming, who poses imposingly with his spear. The crowd goes wild, commenting on how he used 4 techniques in just 5 seconds with insane fluidity. Some students think the techniques were B rank and are impressed by the freshman's skill. Senior Lu Ming thinks they are underestimating her junior and that the techniques were actually A rank. She remembers it took her 4 months to learn just one technique and that having a junior like him puts pressure on her. The guy thanks him for being spared and admits defeat, saying the credits and money are all his. The professor informs him that the 50 credits and 3,200,000 have been sent to his account. His roommate is super excited about the cash and invites the protagonist to chill out in the city center. Our hero declines the invitation, saying he needs to train, but his senior says he needs to balance things out. With his friend's insistence, the young man agrees to go have some fun on that celebratory night. His roommate comments on how he's even more impressive in person than in the photos he saw. The guy then tells his friend to follow him and that he'll take care of all the entertainment for the night. With a sweat drop on his forehead, the protagonist wonders what kind of entertainment his friend is planning. With a mischievous smile, the guy reveals that the night's entertainment is an inter-dorm party. At the party, the table is loaded with delicious food, including roasted chicken, pizza, and various other treats. His friend says our hero's popularity has skyrocketed and that he posted an invitation to the party on the forum. He reveals that over 100 people signed up and that his vision even got blurry from choosing so many. The protagonist is curious to know who he chose, but his friend keeps it a secret, saying he'll see soon enough. Suddenly, the guy spots the guests arriving and waves to them with an excited smile. A girl with glasses introduces herself as Chi Dongsha and says she came to the party at his friend's invitation. The other girl with black hair introduces herself as Song Ki-Wien, the first guest's roommate. The guy explains that Ki-Wien is a light user and the top scorer from Sichuan province. Our hero introduces himself, and the girl is surprised to find out he's the famous Xu Jingming. With a challenging smile, she invites him to a fight and says he can pick the time and place. Her friend scolds her, saying it's supposed to be a party, and the girl defends herself, saying she only came to fight. The protagonist tries to calm the situation and invites them both to sit down and have some food before anything else. After eating, the group heads to a shopping street in the magical city's center to hang out and have fun. Kuyun is amazed by the bustling place and stretches, excited about the night that's just beginning. The girls look at the shop windows, commenting on how beautiful the clothes are and how amazing the A-rank moonsword is. The protagonist observes the items and thinks the place is indeed one of the best shopping centers in the country. The group enjoys the night and tries various street foods, with the girls having a great time with the skewers. Our hero watches the two of them looking at jewelry in a shop window and seems to be enjoying the outing. After a lot of shopping, he and his friend carry the bags and the protagonist comments on how rich the girl is. The roommate reveals that she's not just rich, but her family also has an incredible history. The friend with glasses asks for help carrying the last bag, and our hero thinks it's about time to head back. The group arrives in front of the girls' dorm and gets ready to say their goodbyes after a fun night. They thank them for the evening and say they had a lot of fun with the guys at the party and on the outing. The two say goodbye and our hero smiles as the girls turn to enter their dorm. Before going in, Chiyu reminds him of his promise to fight and says she'll collect on that challenge one day. The guy is surprised by the intensity of her gaze but accepts the challenge without a second's hesitation. With a smile, he says it's no problem and that he'll be waiting for her when the day comes. The girl smiles back, seeming pleased with his response, while her friend watches the scene curiously. The friend with glasses comments that she's never seen her treat a guy so well and that it was a good idea to invite her. The girl thinks that her ability allows her to sense when guys look at her with impure and malicious thoughts, but she realizes our hero is different and that in his eyes there was only appreciation and no desire. With a smile, the friend with glasses realizes that Miss Song's heart has finally been touched by someone. Back at the dorm, the protagonist breathes a sigh of relief and thinks that going out once in a while isn't so bad. He reflects on the girl and thinks that even though she's first level, she still has a long way to go. 15 days later, he's meditating and decides it's time to level up once more with his points. With the system's help, he evolves to the upper first level, and his immortal body advances to stage 2. After the evolution, he feels his strength increase and notices that the second stage still focuses on bones and muscles. He remembers that the third stage unlocks an extreme mode that pushes his power and speed to the limit. Looking at his points, he realizes he's almost out and decides it's time to head to the jungle to hunt some beasts. Upon meeting his master, he tells him he's leveled up and that his immortal body has reached the second stage. The dean is shocked at how casually he talks about his evolutions and thinks about how dedicated he is. The senior comments that he's a monster and that it took her over half a year to achieve the same feat. The master then suggests a fight with the senior to test his new strength, and the guy accepts immediately. The young woman says she'll suppress her power to the second level and that he should give it his all in the fight. With the countdown, the two prepare for combat, wielding their spears firmly. As soon as the fight begins, they charge forward with incredible speed, unleashing their electrical energies. Their strikes clash in a duel of purple and green lightning, creating an explosion of power in the training room. The senior is surprised by the guy's strength and realizes he's managing to keep up with her blows. The protagonist thinks that ever since he got the system, this is the first time he's found a worthy opponent. With a confident smile, he uses his thunder prison technique to try and trap the senior. The young woman defends herself with her spear and manages to block the electric attack with her own energy. The young man then uses his lightning chain spear to attack with multiple lightning projectiles at once. She recognizes the combo he used in the previous fight but says she's not weak like that other freshman. With that, the senior unleashes her Jade True Thunder power and blocks all the attacks with ease. 20 minutes later, the protagonist is exhausted and admits defeat because his Divine Thunder has run out. The young woman consoles him, saying he didn't lose in skill but because he ran out of energy first. The master praises the fight and says the guy's performance far exceeded all his expectations. The senior then asks if he knows what level of strength he managed to reach during the combat. She reveals that he reached the invincible level of the second tier, which surprises the protagonist. The master declares the end of the training, and the butler offers spiritual fruits for everyone to recover. The protagonist then approaches the dean and asks for permission to do something important in the coming days. He reveals his plan to leave the school and go to the dangerous wilderness zone to hunt some beasts. The master is surprised by the plan, and the young man says he'll be there for about a month and will be back in time. The man warns him about the dangers of the place where beasts roam free with no protection. But he agrees with the idea, saying that every strong person needs to go through life or death crises to evolve. With a grateful smile, the guy thanks his teacher for his trust and support on his journey. The dean asks which wilderness zone he's going to, and the young man replies it's the one around Yuan Shui City. The master says the place is relatively safe and that he'll ask the senior to give him some tips. With a ring glowing, he says he'll prepare a useful weapon for the journey, since he can't help much otherwise. He then hands a new and powerful spear to his disciple, who is surprised by the gift. Back in his room, the protagonist sits on his bed with his new spear and his backpack ready for the trip. Before leaving, he asks the artificial intelligence to open the school's mission system to take a look. He remembers his senior's advice to pick up some field missions to earn credits before heading out. Several missions appear on the screen, like collecting materials, capturing fugitives, and even participating in major battles. He notices that the high-credit missions involve combat and that the university really throws its students into the fire. With that, he chooses 1 A rank and 3 B rank missions, understanding why the top students are always away. With everything ready, he says his goodbyes and sets off on his journey to the wilderness zone with his backpack. He arrives at the Yuan Shui City supply base, a bustling place full of adventurers. The streets are filled with recruitment ads for squads and sales of high-quality pills. With a satisfied smile, the protagonist finally reaches his destination, ready for a new adventure. He enters a luxurious hall where several adventurers are gathered preparing for their missions. A receptionist in a red dress approaches and asks if she can help him with anything. The young man shows his ID and says he wants to register as an adventurer to enter the wilderness zone. The woman recognizes his uniform and says it's rare to see someone of his rank entering the wilderness zone from here. Suddenly, a group of people enters the hall, and everyone is mesmerized by the beauty of the goddess Jiang Chuxuan. The white-haired girl walks with her film crew and security, drawing everyone's attention. She is Jiang Chuxuan, a second-year student from the Magic University and a famous celebrity. The crowd comments that she must be heading to the wilderness zone to film another of her high-quality videos. Our hero observes the scene and thinks her beauty is almost comparable to his classmate Song Kyu-yoon. The receptionist hands him his adventurer card and a watch with a detailed map of the wilderness zone. With everything set, he turns to leave but is stopped by a shady guy at the hall's entrance. The man calls him little brother and offers him pills, saying he can't go to the wilderness zone without them. With a suspicious look, the protagonist asks for the prices of the pills he's selling. The vendor opens his coat and shows several healing and antitoxin pills with prices well below normal. Our hero finds the prices cheap, and the guy brags about being known for selling good cheap pills. But the young man knows that a grade 1 pill costs much more, and that the vendor's price is suspiciously low. He then asks how many pills the guy wants him to buy and accuses him of being a newbie scammer. The vendor gets nervous and asks if he's trying to make him leave, but the protagonist isn't fazed. With a sly smile, the man says he's the first one to try and fool him in this place. Suddenly, a woman appears and accuses the vendor of scamming newbies again with his pills. The scammer recognizes her as Wang Chan and gets annoyed by her interference in his business. With a threatening look, he tells the protagonist not to leave the base in the next few days or he'll regret it. The crowd comments that the newbie is toast because the scammer is a powerful second-rank user. The woman warns him not to leave the base, and he asks why no one stops the guy from scamming people. The woman explains that the scammer has connections in the black market and that no one dares to stop him. The protagonist thanks her for her help and thinks that she's actually a kind-hearted girl. He then decides to buy the supplies he needs for the month officially and safely. The guy approaches a counter and asks the receptionist for the items he needs for his journey. With everything purchased, he packs the supplies in his backpack, getting ready to finally leave. He then leaves the base and starts walking down the street, ready to face the dangers of the wilderness zone. But the scammer intercepts him at the exit and accuses him of ignoring his warnings and leaving the base. With a defiant smile, our hero asks what he plans to do with him now that he's outside. The man says he's going to break both his legs so he can spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. The woman who helped him sees the scene and runs to help but is stopped by her friend who wants him to learn a lesson. The scammer activates his ability, and his arm transforms into a metal skin, ready for the attack. He brags about his C-rank ability and says the protagonist won't be able to break his defense. The man threatens him, telling him to pay compensation and kneel, but our hero tells him to shut up. The scammer is shocked by the guy's audacity and prepares to attack him with all his strength. Suddenly, a masked figure appears at high speed and attacks the man with a powerful electric strike. The man is sent flying by the force of the impact and falls to the ground, completely defeated and unconscious. The woman who helped him and the other people on the street are stunned by the speed and force of the attack. The protagonist turns and walks away as if nothing happened, leaving the crowd behind. People comment that it was an instant knockout and they couldn't even see the guys move properly. The woman explains it was a whip kick and that he broke the scammer's pelvis, crippling him. She recognizes the combat suit as an exclusive product of Modu University and is impressed. Her friend suggests recruiting him for the team, but the other reminds her that the squad only accepts women. The woman gets embarrassed, and her friends tease her, saying she's interested in the handsome guy. The protagonist reaches the gate of the wilderness zone and is allowed entry after confirming his identity. He enters the wildlands of Yuan Shui, a dangerous place filled with beasts ready to attack. Right away, he hears a loud roar and realizes he's in some wild creature's territory. He identifies the roar as that of a 4th-rank beast but says his target today isn't it. The young man then enters the forest, thinking that the wildlands are divided into 2 distinct areas. He chooses the ruined city ahead where the beasts are weaker and he can hunt peacefully. With that, the protagonist runs toward Pingan City, ready for his beast hunt. In the city, he finds his first prey and charges with his spear to attack the beast without hesitation. A 2nd-rank shadow cat appears, and the protagonist prepares for the hunt that is just beginning. He realizes that skill points are practically being handed to him and that the hunt will be very profitable, but he feels the urge to kill growing inside him due to the negative emotions from the Tyrannosaurus. With an evil smile, he decides that this time he doesn't need to hold back anymore and unleashes all his power. The shadow cat is terrified by the guy's aura and lets out a meow of fear before being defeated. A month later, a group of adventurers complains that they haven't found any beasts in Pingan City. The captain yells that the city should have hundreds of beasts and that completely clearing it is impossible. Suddenly, an arm-blade tiger appears and startles the group, who didn't expect to find a beast there. The captain gets excited and orders his team to attack the beast that finally showed up after so long. But before they can attack, a purple lightning spear hits the tiger dead on, defeating it instantly. An explosion of purple energy fills the area and the group of adventurers is shocked by the scene. They wonder if it was a laser weapon but realize it was a lightning-type combat skill. The captain decides to leave because the area must have been taken over by someone strong, and the attack was a warning. The group flees in fear and one of them comments that the lightning spear was so terrifying his legs were shaking. The system informs him that he killed a second-ranked tiger and gained 19 skill points. In 1 month he has earned over 8,000 points, and his immortal body has reached the 3rd stage of evolution. With the hunt over, he decides to return to the supply base to restock and continue. Upon arriving at the base, some adventurers make fun of his huge material-filled backpack. But the protagonist thinks it's a good thing he bought the reinforced backpack, or he wouldn't be able to carry everything. He then goes to a counter and asks the receptionist where he can sell the materials he collected. The guy opens his backpack and dumps an absurd amount of beast materials onto the counter. The woman is shocked by the quantity of items and says it's too much for her to count alone. She recognizes the tiger tendons and arm blades as high-quality essences and is impressed. The receptionist asks him to wait and calls more people to help with counting the materials. The purchasing manager introduces himself as Zhao Yi and greets our hero with a handshake. He praises the young man for being so talented and invites him to sit while the team inventories the materials. Several employees use drones to scan and catalog the beast materials he brought from the hunt. The manager hands him a platinum card with a 5% discount, thinking he needs to treat the guy well. The receptionist reports the final count, and the manager wonders if he cleared out an entire beast lair. The manager says the total was 24 million and rounds it up to 25 million to please him. The guy receives the transfer notification and thinks he got rich overnight with so much money. He says goodbye to the manager, who hands him his business card and invites him for tea sometime. The manager watches the young man leave, thinking he has an unlimited future ahead with so much talent. Suddenly, the man's phone starts to ring, and he answers the call with a serious expression. It was the scammer, Zhao Chunlin, calling him, and the man asks why he's calling him now. The guy, all bandaged up in a hospital bed, says he saw the guy who hurt him and asks for revenge. The manager asks what he wants to do, and the scammer responds with a scream of rage over the phone. He asks for the Tiger Shark squad to take care of the guy and says he wants him to suffer a lot. The manager agrees to send the squad but says that after this, they will have no further ties. He hangs up and wonders why he feels a sense of unease, even knowing the squad is elite. Outside, our hero suddenly sneezes and gets a strange feeling. He wonders what's going on and if someone might be bad-mouthing him somewhere. Meanwhile, manager Zhao Yi calls his superior and tells him about the promising young man he just met. The base chief Wang Chuang listens to the report and says he'll check the guy's records. The chief is surprised and tells his subordinate to notify him immediately if the guy shows up again. The manager is relieved and thinks the young man must have a powerful family behind him to be so impressive. The base chief looks at the guy's profile and realizes he's another disciple of the famous Master Yang. The protagonist walks down the street and complains about the price of spatial rings, which cost over 10 million. He wonders how expensive a ring that could store his spear and make his travels easier would be. Suddenly, his phone rings, and he answers a call from a familiar number he hasn't seen in a while. It was his friend Wen Tao asking when he's coming back to school, and our hero replies soon. Elsewhere, the scammer in a wheelchair watches the protagonist from a distance with a look of hatred. He orders his team to break the guy's hands and feet and then bring him to him for his revenge. His friend tells him that a new arrogant freshman enrolled in the school while he was out of town. Our hero asks him to continue but gets a strange feeling, as if he's being watched. The scammer's team prepares for the ambush and sends one of their members to analyze the target's strength. One of them thinks the captain is being overly cautious, but the girl with the analysis power is shocked. The captain asks what's wrong and she points at the guy with a look of fear and surprise. The woman shares her vision with the team, and they realize the guy's aura is extremely bright. The team realizes his aura is 10 times stronger than the captain's and that he could annihilate them all. The captain realizes he's been set up and orders his team to abort the mission and go settle the score with the scammer. The protagonist feels the spies fleeing and wonders why they suddenly ran off without attacking. He then realizes the only person he fought with at the base was the scammer, Zhao Chunlin. Meanwhile, the team captain punches the scammer, who falls to the ground, completely confused. The man falls out of his wheelchair and asks why he was attacked after hiring the team. The captain accuses him of providing wrong information and says the target was not first rank. The scammer is shocked to learn the guy is already second rank in just over a month. The squad leader says he doesn't care what happened and that the mission is over. He then goes to his boss and reports that the mission was terminated and he failed to achieve the objective. The captain explains that the information was wrong and the target's combat strength is at least third rank. The boss is furious with the scammer and wonders who he thinks he is to cause so much trouble. He then asks for the target's name, but the captain says he only knows that he's tall and uses a spear. The boss panics, realizing the description matches the promising young man he met. Slamming his fist on the table, he yells in anger, wondering how they dare to send an ambush for Xu Jingming. The manager tries to calm the boss, saying he's just a second-ranked kid and it's not that big of a deal. The boss shows the guy's records and the man is shocked to see the information on the screen. He discovers the young man is an 18-year-old prodigy with a powerful and highly influential mentor. The boss explains that a master-level figure could destroy the base without consequences, and the manager understands. With spikes protruding from his back, he bows and promises not to make things difficult for the base. The boss orders the scammer to be brought in, and two men carry him into the room to face the chief's wrath. With a bruised face, the guy admits his mistake and begs to be spared from the coming punishment. The manager says a beating won't be enough, and that the group's leader needs to be executed for his actions. With a scream of pain, the scammer is severely punished in front of everyone in the boss's room. The man asks the chief if that's enough, but the chief doesn't seem satisfied with the punishment. He says he ignored the manager's business for years, but this time the mistake was too big. The chief orders everyone involved to be punished to leave no chance of offending anyone. With that, the chief leaves the room with his team, leaving the manager and the scammer behind. Elsewhere, a group of people gathers, commenting that with so many bosses present, someone important must be arriving. One of the women recognizes the young man from Modu University and is curious to know what's happening. The protagonist is confused by the warm reception and wonders what's going on. The base chief introduces himself as Wang Lun and welcomes student Shu back to the base. The women in the crowd are surprised to see the managers greeting the guy with so much respect. The chief informs him that the scammer and his accomplices have been punished and that the base has prepared reparations. Our hero thinks the chief is truly ruthless to resolve things so cleanly. A woman offers a black gold membership card that provides free lodging and discounts on purchases. Another woman offers a 1 cubic meter spatial ring as an apology gift from the base. The young man is shocked by the size of the spatial ring, as he knows it's an extremely expensive item. He accepts the gift and thinks the Wang Pavilion is being very sincere in its apology. The chief praises his generosity and mentions that his senior Lu Ming has also trained at the base before. After a long conversation, the protagonist says his goodbyes and heads to the room he got with the card. He thinks the room is much more luxurious than the university dorm and that he can finally rest. The chief tells him to contact him directly if anything happens, and that his words carry weight in the city. The guy then takes the ring and begins the bonding process with his spiritual impression to be able to use it. With the bond complete, he tests the ring and discovers he can store and retrieve items with a thought. With a sip of wine, he sits on the sofa to relax after a long day of travel and hunting. He then calls his master and tells him he just left the wilderness zone and has something to report. The master is furious when he learns about the ambush and says the spatial ring is the least they could do. The dean asks why the squad backed off, and the guy says maybe they found out his rank. The man is shocked to learn he's already at the upper second rank in just 1 month of training. He bursts out laughing and says the guy's progress is even faster than his own was in his youth. The protagonist says he'll be back before classes start and that he plans to go to the advanced area. The master warns him to be careful, but the young man says he's prepared and understands the risks. The butler comments that it's been a long time since he's seen the master so happy, and the man laughs with pride in his disciple. The protagonist arrives at the forest mountain range and hears the roars of beasts from all around. He realizes the forest area is much richer in beast resources than the city ruins. With his spear in hand, he begins to explore the forest in search of new prey to hunt. Suddenly, he uses his lightning power and moves at high speed to attack an approaching beast. The creature moves quickly between the trees with a green aura, preparing for combat. A Gale Terror Wolf appears, and our hero prepares to face another challenge. He realizes the wolf is a third-rank beast and wonders how many points he'll get for defeating it. Suddenly, Jiang Chuan's team appears and spots the Gale Terror Wolf in the forest. They identify the beast as third rank and say it's perfect material for the girls filming. Our hero notices they're trying to steal his prey and remembers the rule of the wilderness zone. The girl complains to the captain about stealing others' prey, but he says it's to help the guy. She says she doesn't need fake scenes, and that the young man seems calm and doesn't need help. The captain says it's her call, and the girl gets annoyed with his attitude and tells the team to leave. The protagonist observes the scene and thinks the girl's personality is good for a famous influencer. But he notices the captain's murderous glare and understands that his control over the team isn't strong. The wolf gets annoyed by the presence of so many humans and charges to attack the closest one, which is our hero. Arrogantly, the beast attacks with its wind claws, but the protagonist isn't fazed by the blow. He uses his electric Galebreaker technique and hits the wolf's head with a devastating blow. The system informs him that he killed the beast and gained 34 skill points for the victory. With a satisfied smile, he thinks that in the next 10 days he'll train hard to get stronger. 7 days later, he encounters a group of furious monkeys and prepares for another battle. He uses his thunder spear to attack the group, but the spear fails to defeat the leader on the first try. An explosion of purple energy hits the ground, and the monkeys are thrown back by the force of the impact. One of the monkeys gets stuck in a crater on the ground while the others surround it with angry glares. The protagonist realizes the pack leader is a third-ranked giant and prepares for battle. With a wicked smile, he says he'll take care of the rest of the pack and will make sure their family stays intact. He then charges forward and starts fighting the monkeys with his electric spear, defeating them one by one. After defeating the entire pack, he's left alone in the forest, surrounded by the bodies of the beasts. With over 3,000 skill points, he thinks he can finally learn S-rank combat skills. Suddenly, his watch starts beeping, and he realizes he's received a distress signal from someone nearby. A giant dragon-like creature attacks a white-haired girl who flees in terror. The young woman thinks her team was scattered by a 4th-rank beast and that the situation is very dangerous. She realizes that any beast with dragon in its name is extremely strong and that she couldn't win even with pills. The girl runs desperately, hoping some squad will see her distress signal and come to her aid. She reaches an open area and despairs, knowing that without the trees, the beast will easily catch her. The creature corners her, and the girl is trapped before the giant, terrifying monster. Suddenly, an electric spear hits the creature, stopping it from attacking the defenseless girl. Our hero appears with his lightning power, and the young woman is surprised to recognize him from the forest. She warns him to run because the creature is a 3rd-rank dragon, and he can't defeat it. But the guy ignores her and charges toward the monster with his spear in hand, ready for the fight. The girl gets annoyed with his attitude, thinking she doesn't want to drag an innocent person down with her. The protagonist pushes her away and tells her to run while he holds off the creature to buy her time. The young woman tries to defend herself from the monster, but is thrown back by the force of its claws. She gets up and uses her wind blades to attack the creature with all her power. Our hero takes advantage of the distraction and uses his extreme thunder technique to attack the monster from above. An explosion of purple energy descends from the sky and hits the creature dead-on with devastating power. The dragon is hit squarely, and its body is covered in purple lightning that leaves it paralyzed. The girl falls to the ground, unable to believe the dragon was defeated with a single blow from the guy. She realizes his power is terrifying and wonders why someone so strong is still only 2nd rank. The system informs him that he gained 36 points, and he thinks that beasts with dragon in their name really are stronger. He approaches the young woman and asks if she's okay, and she thanks him for saving her life. He helps her up and says that anyone would have done the same in that dangerous situation. The girl introduces herself as Jiang Chuk Xuan and says that if he ever needs anything, he can count on her. The guy asks for an autograph photo, and the girl is a bit embarrassed but promises to give it to him when they get back. She recognizes his spear and asks if he's also from the magic university like her. The young woman introduces herself as a 2nd-year student, and the protagonist thinks that no one at school knows him. He reflects that normal students only reach the 2nd rank in their 3rd year and decides not to spoil her admiration. The guy greets her as a senior, and the young woman praises his strength for defeating the dragon in a single blow. She asks if he's leaving already, and the young man confirms he is, but the girl stops him. With an embarrassed look, she asks if she can stay with him for a while because she got separated from her team. The protagonist agrees to take her to the city ruins, and she thanks him for his help and company. The young woman suggests they check the dragon's cave, and the guy agrees to take a look. She asks which academy he's from and is surprised to learn his teacher is the famous King of Hell. The girl apologizes for talking too much and makes a cute face to say sorry. Our hero thinks that her ice goddess image is very different from the talkative person she really is. The young woman points to the cave, and the two approach the entrance, ready to explore the dragon's lair. He warns her about the dangers and tells her to hide behind him while he enters the cave first. With his electric spear in hand, the protagonist cautiously moves into the dragon's lair. The girl notices a pleasant smell and approaches a small pond with yellow flowers around it. The two are amazed to find a secret garden with a crystal-clear spring and rare flowers. The guy recognizes the rare flowers and herbs and wonders how so many species could have grown there. The young woman reveals that the spring is an S-rank sacred medicine, and the young man is surprised by the discovery. She picks one of the flowers and explains that the spring nourishes the plants, causing them to evolve into rare species. With the flower in her hand, she confirms there's no doubt that this is the legendary spring of the earth spirit. The girl approaches the water and confirms the spring's identity once more with a look of certainty. She turns to him and reveals that she passed the level 2 pharmacist exam at school. Our hero is surprised because he knows the pharmacist certification is very difficult to obtain. The young woman says they can prepare 5 doses of healing liquid, and he offers all 5 to her. He tells her to take 4 and he'll take 1, and they'll split the rare flowers and herbs. Suddenly, the girl's team appears in the cave, and one of them asks what's so valuable there. The protagonist becomes alert at the group's arrival, and the young woman faces him with a serious expression. One of the men recognizes the tracks and says the place must be the nest of a 3rd-rank dragon. The girl feigns surprise at seeing them, and the protagonist thinks an elite team would be a problem. The captain says they were looking for her and notices the guy beside her is different from the one before. She lies, saying he's a senior from school, and suggests they split the rare flowers and herbs. The captain thanks her, and one of his men notices the spring in the middle is an S-rank sacred medicine. With eyes red with greed, the team stares at the spring as if it were the greatest treasure in the world. The protagonist senses the shift in atmosphere, and the girl gets nervous with the tension in the air. With a wicked smile, the captain says they're not being honest, and the situation gets even worse. The young woman tries to flee with the guy, but he pulls her back with a calm expression. She warns him that the team is all 3rd rank and they have no chance of winning the fight. Our hero says that even if they handed over the materials, they wouldn't let them go, and she understands. The captain confirms her suspicion and says she's spot on with a scornful smile. He reveals he's going to silence them to prevent the girl from complaining and ruining their reputation. The young woman realizes she has no choice and says she can't hold the senior back in this situation anymore. She then takes a bloodburst pill and prepares to fight with all her strength. With a pained groan, she swallows the pill and prepares to fight with all her enhanced power. She unleashes her A-rank ice ability, and a bluish aura surrounds her, freezing the ground. The floor freezes instantly, and the captain and his team prepare for the coming battle. The leader orders one of his men to deal with our hero while he and the others take care of the girl. A man with a tiger transformation approaches her and says she'll have to leave her life behind there. The creature reveals itself to be a C-rank saber-toothed tiger and prepares to attack the young woman with its claws. The captain tells him to take it easy, and the cameraman gets ready to record everything for his own pleasure. The girl feels disgusted by these beasts in human skin and regrets dragging the senior into this. She tries to warn the guy, but before she can say anything, one of the team members falls to the ground. The man coughs and tries to call the captain, but falls defeated before he can finish his sentence. Our hero thinks that even a third-level fighter is no big deal for him to take down. The Tiger Man is shocked by the guy's speed and can't believe what just happened. He realizes he underestimated the young man and that he's the real problem to deal with in this fight. With a furious roar, the tiger charges to attack the protagonist with his tiger roar slash. Our hero uses his thunder technique and moves at high speed to dodge the beast's attack. He realizes the captain's strength is greater than his and decides he can no longer hold back in the fight. The other men on the team charge forward to attack, but the protagonist is ready to unleash his true power. With a shout, he activates his extreme thunder mode, and an aura of purple power surrounds him. The girl watches the scene, shocked to see the senior's transformation right before her eyes. At this, the Tiger Man gets scared by the guy's new form and wonders what kind of monster he is to have so much power. Our hero now has horns and a demonic appearance, with purple lightning covering his entire body. He feels the incredible power of his transformation, and the Tiger Man is amazed by the strength he emanates. The Beast Man accuses him of being mysterious and charges forward to attack with his powerful tiger claws. The protagonist uses his lightning slash ability, and the tiger uses his crouching tiger stone to defend himself. He says his body is 4 times stronger, and that not even the opponent's iron skin will hold up. With a strike from his flaming demon claw, the captain attacks our hero with everything he has, but the protagonist blocks the attack with his lightning power, and his control over the ability reaches its peak. The captain is in disbelief, seeing his B-rank move being blocked, and wonders what kind of monster he is. At this, our hero praises the opponent's strength and says he'll end it all with just one more blow. The captain panics and begs not to be taken out, offering the spring and all his money. The girl is in shock and wonders if it's a dream because the invincible captain went down so easily. She has never seen a student with such a record, and wonders if his power is S-rank. Our hero feels his desire to kill returning and charges forward to attack the rest of the team. With a wicked smile, he says he's still more human than the thieves and murderers on the team. The men take their blood pills and prepare to fight to the end against the demon. But the protagonist strikes first, defeating all the team members with a single blow of his spear. After the battle, he stands alone amidst the bodies, and the girl watches him with a shocked expression. He feels the exhaustion from the extreme mode and realizes that 10 minutes of use are more draining than hours of fighting. The young woman approaches and asks if he's okay, and he says he's just tired after the battle. He takes her to the spring and says it's a good thing the water wasn't contaminated by the enemy's blood. The young man begins to collect the spring water in several vials to use the healing liquid. He realizes he got a little extra and offers a portion to the girl who also fought. She thanks him with a smile, happy with the senior's generosity after everything. Suddenly, the young woman cries out in pain and realizes the side effects of the pill are starting to kick in.